Hello and welcome back everybody to another 1/18 scale model unboxing and review video. So today I have an extremely special car for you. It's one of my absolute favorites. It is the Peugeot Onyx concept from 2012 made by Norev. And whenever anyone comes to my house and they see my model collection, this is the car they look at every single time and say, wow, this thing looks awesome. So I thought, what better car to show you than this one? And of course, as you can see straight away, I have no box for it. Unfortunately, it's been lost over the years. So if you do have a spare one, perhaps, then please let me know about it and we can get in touch. But without any ado, let's just jump straight into it. So Peugeot, of course, over the years has made quite a lot of striking concept cars. Some among the others are like the Peugeot Quasar in the 80s, the Oxia, the Exalt, and even one of the newer ones, which was the Vision GT, which was actually a follow-up to this Onyx concept. So the whole idea behind this car in 2012 was to showcase sort of like futuristic supercar, and essentially what it has a lot to do with is renewability. So they used a lot of recyclable materials, especially on the interior, like recycled felt and recycled paper sort of compressed into wood. And the outside was made out of carbon fiber, and it also had a carbon fiber monocoque chassis. And of course, one of the most striking visual parts of the car is this whole front sort of section, which in real life is made out of untreated copper, and it's actually hand beaten by like artisan copper, sort of workers, and it's all like handmade. And the whole idea behind it being untreated was to sort of decay after a while, so that you can see the sort of patina effect that the copper would have with the years. Once again, just to kind of showcase, like nature and renewability and sort of the decay of materials and the usage of these sort of materials. So the car came with a pretty crazy engine. It was a 3.7 liter V8 hybrid diesel engine, which was making about 600 brake horsepower. And of course, with the car being made out of carbon fiber, it's very light. So it only weighed about 1100 kgs, which is about 2,500 pounds. So the power to weight ratio is absolutely immense. And as you can see how low it is, and like low slung and really long, it's definitely got like supercar, hypercar sort of characteristics. So it's extremely visually striking, and it makes for a very cool piece to have among in a collection, especially if you're into these sort of concept cars, which I definitely am. But let's take a closer look and check out all the details, and let's see what it's all about. So jumping straight into it, as I pick the car up, it's got a little bit of weight. It's not on the heavy side, but it's definitely got some nice weight to the car itself. And looking at the quality in general, overall, you can see that it's got this matte black sort of color surface, as well as this extremely high chrome surface. I mean, it is so chrome, in fact, that it actually reflects pretty much everything in its surroundings. Overall, the paint quality is very good. So this model came out in 2012, so that makes it pretty old now. It is over a decade old, and you can see that this sort of chrome section after a while does wear a little bit. I suspect it could be helped with a little bit of polishing or something like that, but just like the real car, I don't actually mind it getting a tiny bit of a patina effect, because after all, that is what that whole area is about anyway. And you can see that in sections like this, it's got a really nice quality in these matte sort of surfaces. as well, so you can see how crisp the line work is on the car, and just the overall sort of quality. Of course, with time it does get a little bit dusty and things like that, and yeah, you can just clean that up. But you can see the top as well, we've got a very unique sort of roof section, so there's no defined DLO and no sort of defined like cant rails and A pillar, B pillar, those sort of sections. It's all just like one big greenhouse section, which also gives it an extremely unique look. And you can actually see that with a little bit of heat just even generated from my hands, it does kind of leave a little bit of marks on this matte sort of finish. And sadly and unfortunately, this car is a fully closed model. It would be amazing if it opened, because the doors open in a very unique way. This panel kind of tilts away from the body, and it doesn't just open normally, it kind of like shifts forward and tilts, and it looks absolutely amazing. And as you shall see in a bit, the interior looks pretty cool as well. So unfortunately, not an opening model. However, I think it is made from more of a plastic material rather than resin. But let's have a quick look at the bottom as well. So it says Norev Peugeot Onyx. No special numbers or anything like that, although they are extremely rare now, so it's kind of tough to find one of these. So starting out at the front, we've got this very cool geometric style Peugeot grille. It's kind of a floating sort of grille. You can see it's kind of in this black, and then it's got this like really nice chrome surround. And then we've also got this overlaid style air inlet, so just over there, and then it's got a very cool finish to it. And you can see what happens is this line actually kind of goes through the headlights and into the front like haunch section over there, and that actually goes all the way down into the mirrors, which I'll show you in a moment. So we've got these very nice headlights as well, which is this typical Peugeot sort of feline LED style light. And then we've also got the strip of LEDs here, which is kind of just a white sort of coloring, so not much depth, but the headlights do have quite a bit of depth, although they are very, very thin, so it's tough to sort of see inside. But the badge here is all chrome, so you can see that it reflects very nicely. And then we've got a little bit of writing Onyx over there, and we've got some very nice curvatures and shapes. You can see in this front sort of section how beautiful this car is really made, and this long swooping bonnet as well. It's very, very cute, very cool. And then we've also got this little intake there, which ends in this sort of canard kind of section. And if we look at the top of the bonnet, you can see that there is a bit of three-dimensionality there with those two stripes as well, and that line kind of carries on straight into the windscreen as well. So you can see the way the light's reflecting. This line is actually continued over there. So let's jump to the front wheels. So as you can see, we've got this matte black multi-spoke sort of wheel, and then it's highlighted by these little silver sort of edges. And the wheel does spin freely, and if I can get a little bit of light on there, you can see that it actually does have the brake rotors which spin, and it's even got some Brembo brakes just behind there. So if I twist it, you can kind of see it's got this sort of turbine style look to the wheels, and they look very nice actually. And as you can see, they pretty much spin freely, and both the left and right side are connected to one another. So going a little bit further up, you can see you've got this nice split line. That's where the door would open, and it's got a bit of three-dimensionality to it as well. And you can see the way the surfaces reflect of this car. It's just so beautiful. They've done a really incredible job with the design of this car. I really love it. And of course, with it being a futuristic concept, we don't actually have any rear view mirrors. So what we would have is some cameras in there. And you can actually see it's got a very cool little French flag there as well. And the whole shape of this rear view camera is almost like a little winglet kind of section. And then you can also see that in the windscreen we've got these little like bolt sort of sections running along the edge, and even in the front as well. And you can also see there's no windscreen wiper or anything like that. So looking at the door a little bit, you can see that there would be kind of like a door opening like handle, I suppose, or something like that. But we can actually get a nice look at this kind of geometric feature of this car. Here in this section, you can see how cool it is that the color sort of transitions and the surface transitions from this chrome door into this matte here. And you've also got a line here, a little feature line over there as well, that kind of transfers between the two body sections. And it almost looks like this section is very tight, and it's almost like you've got some kind of a piece of fabric kind of like thrown over this very tight sort of character line over there. And it just has like this really nice kind of swooping line to it, which goes all the way from here and follows the design all the way into the rear lights. So if you look from this angle, you can see there's another very strong line running all the way to the front fender of the car as well. And it's just very, very cool. And you can see the door shut line just continues all the way down the side of the car and actually terminates pretty much underneath the car. So there is like some tuck in at the underneath of the car. And it's got a very, very cool look to it. And of course, you've also got these little winglet sort of things, and you can see it's actually got a little bit of a kind of texture. So I suppose that would sort of represent the carbon fiber. It doesn't look exactly carbon. It looks more like sort of stripes. I can try and zoom in a little bit. Although, yeah, maybe it looks a little bit like carbon, but it looks a little bit like stripes too. And we've got these sort of little winglets, and that's got a bit of a reflection there as well. So we've got one in the front, and then we've got one in the rear as well. And you can see, I mean, look at the geometry here. It's it's extremely sculptural, and it's very, very unique for sure. And then we've got this rear haunch sort of wheel like arch and fender section. And this actually has quite a soft looking approach to the surfaces. So where here we've got this sort of chiseled geometry, it kind of washes out into this soft sort of rear kind of section. And then of course we have the rear wheels. So kind of same story as the front. They can rotate with the opposite side. And of course we've got a little Peugeot lion logo in the center there as well. And once again the brakes rotate, and then we've got some brake discs in there. And actually, if I give it a nice spin, you can see it makes quite an interesting sort of pattern with it spinning around. So that's very cool. And of course we've got these rubber tires as well. And now heading furthermore into the rear area, you can see this sort of chiseled sculptural look over here in the rear as well. It's almost like very sharp, you know, and angular sections. You can see just by this sort of section over there that it's very like edgy, and it's very, very unique looking for sure. So of course we head to these interesting looking tail lights. They're pretty simplistic just from this kind of view, but they do have a little bit of a fin sort of built on, and that's of course on the real car just for some added stability. And then of course in the back here you would see where the wing would open, but of course with this model the wing does not open at all. And then we've got this little centerpiece which has the Peugeot logo as well. And essentially we've got this really large flat black area which heads down into these 6 crazy looking exhausts, which have a very nice finish. They've got this sort of chrome edge to it, so it gives it a very striking visual. You can see that it gives a really strong contrast, and not only that, but they reflect quite a lot of this back panel as well, which is very, very striking. And then you've also got these sort of canards, not canards, sorry, this sort of like diffuser sort of sections over there, which you can actually see that it goes through. So if I hold it like that, you can see that it's actually got a lot of three-dimensionality. And then you've also got the center section over here, just to kind of lead the air and channel it correctly. And then we head up onto the rear deck. So this is a very interesting section as well. As you can see, it's got a lot of three-dimensionality. It's almost got like a rib sort of structure. It's very industrial and futuristic, almost alien almost. You can see it's got these like sort of slats which head out from the back of the windscreen. So that would be to channel hot air away from the engine bay. So in real life, these would actually have holes through them as well as through the center. And essentially that's kind of what that's for. And it's actually a really interesting looking pattern. It's almost like organic sort of in some way. And you can see the way that the lines kind of follow the car, and all the way from here into this section here, which goes into the back window. So in overall, the geometry in this car is extremely intriguing, and it's also one of the reasons why I got this, because I just really love the kind of like no holding back with the visuals of concept cars and the things that they can actually achieve with these kind of crazy looking concept cars. And to be honest, you know, I really wish that more companies actually did 1:18 scale and even 1:64 versions of concept cars, because there are so many amazing creations, and unfortunately no way for us to see them. It's only just a few really that we can possibly purchase, and really not that many. So I hope the companies pull their socks up and they can actually get some cool concepts made for us. But anyways, let's continue with the car. So of course this side is identical to the other side. Nothing different at all. Well, actually, one small difference is it doesn't have the French flag logo on the side cameras on this. So it's actually got some kind of other tiny detail, which I think could almost act as lights or something like that. But we're in this top section as well, and as you can see, the exterior of the car and the interior kind of join together in harmony, because it's completely see-through. So we've got this extremely striking, like almost Y-shaped center section, which actually has a little bit of a hole in the middle, so you can kind of see inside a little bit. And of course we've also got some air intakes in the roof here, which are 3D. And it's even got this kind of like bubble roof effector. So if I move a little bit, you can kind of see the three-dimensionality of that roof section, especially like that. And then it's got those two intakes. And then, of course, those intakes would channel air down there into the engine bay underneath there. So now that I've briefly showed you the interior a little bit, let's actually jump into the details. So starting off with the front, you can see that it's got this section where you would have, I think it would be kind of like a heads-up display projector or something like that over there. And it's got a very cool, unique look to the entire dashboard. It's got this really nice gray color, also in this sort of matte finish, and it's complemented with a lot of black sort of sections, these elements of black, you know, like even in this top section over here, and that just kind of continues into the interior. And even the front here, you can see it's not straight, so you've got this whole dashboard has got a very unique shape. It's not symmetrical even in the front in any way. So I've got my little torch here, and actually if I can get some light onto it, you can see the kind of three-dimensionality as well in these sections. And you can see on the side of this steering column, you've got like some air outlets as well. And let's have a proper look at the interior. So we've got this very cool, like almost like a rectangular sort of rounded style steering wheel, and then we've got a nice little Peugeot chrome badge, as well as the buttons in chrome, and even the steering wheel has that very cool sort of contrasted look with that gray outer edge. And then we can also see that you've got a center console over there, and that just shows some sort of digital readouts, as well as like the rev sort of, it's not even a gauge, it's more like a counter on the two sides as well. And you can see that in the middle we've got this very, very strange looking center console over there. So we'll take a better look at that from a different angle. But from here you can actually see that it's also got some seat belts, and on the seat belts themselves they say Sparco as well, and those seat belts are kind of 3D elements, but they're not like sort of free floating like they were on the Koenigsegg before, but they are actually a 3D like piece made from that piece of plastic. And then in the center, between the two seats, we've got some kind of a little design feature, which also has some writing in the middle, and it's got a little picture. And let's see what else we can see. You can get a bit of a closer look at the center console. It's got an almost like a glass kind of feature in the middle here, as well as some chrome buttons on the side. And you can also see that the bottom of the seat is very, very unique. It's got another, I don't even know what that section is, almost like a clip, or it could be an air vent or something like that in the middle. And the seat itself is not a separate seat, but it's actually kind of molded into the structure. So you can see it's not separate seats. You've got this little door opening shut line, and it looks very, very cool and very futuristic. And of course you've got the side of the door interior as well, and that's also very much 3D as well over there. So let's see what else we can see. Give it a little bit of a rotation here, and let's try and have a look at this passenger sort of console over here. So if I get the light in there, you can see it's also got some extra little chrome elements over there, and I think that's where we would have some kind of a display for the passenger. And you can see once again that the interior is kind of made from one simple single molded piece, and it goes kind of all the way down into the footwell in the depths, in the distance, and there's no separate seats or anything like that. And I really love that style. It's just such a cool conceptual sort of look to it. And then of course we've got this little black line that separates the headrests, and it's very unique because you can see the headrests actually go and they meet the inside of the roof structure as well. So let me try and get you a kind of better view if I can, perhaps like that. You can sort of see what it kind of looks like on the inside there. Sorry, it's a little bit tough to get you all the detailed views, but I'm trying, I'm getting there. And of course in the center you can also see a little bit of those details. And as I mentioned before, we've got that intake, and actually in the rear section here you can also see that we've got this kind of floating piece as well in the rear window, which is also very cool. So you can see it doesn't actually meet up on the interior, it's just got this sort of black section over there. So crazy geometry happening on the interior of this car, and of course on the exterior as well. So this is also why I mentioned I wish I could have just opened this car up, because the interior looks just as crazy as the exterior. And my word, what a striking piece of machinery. It's really extremely unique, and it's one of the most unique cars I have among my collection for sure. So, well, I think in conclusion, what we have here is an absolutely incredible car. It's got this crazy high contrasted look. It looks very, very unique. You can see how striking the line work is on this car. It looks so beautiful, the way all the lines flow and the way they change between these sort of sections and different colors. You can even see the way it runs from the front all the way around the car, and it's the same case with every line around this car if you look at it. And it's got a very cool, like edgy, sort of chiseled look, and it gives this overall sort of still kind of organic feel. And I think it's just such a cool mix of this futuristic approach and also getting to, like, you know, the chiseled look of like almost stone or rock or something like that. And I think it's definitely one of the most incredible models I have. So I think, I mean, in conclusion, they have done a really great job at making a model of this car, and I'm really thankful to Norev that they actually made a concept car in 118, especially one as incredible as this one. Of course, one of the downsides, as always with these sort of cars, is the fact that it doesn't open, and it would have been absolutely incredible to see those opening parts, especially the doors. It's almost like a theater show to see them open, and if we could get a closer look at that incredibly insane design of an interior, it would be really amazing. But overall, the model has incredible detail and very good quality, and the price is kind of high at the moment, and I think they will only be increasing with time. So they're going anywhere from between like 130 to maybe 200 pounds or so. So if you are still able to grab one, then I would suggest that if you're into concept cars, it's definitely worth the money, because it's definitely a showstopper. And as I mentioned before, if someone comes over that doesn't know anything about cars and they look at a single car on my display stand, this is the one they go to. So it's definitely a showcase piece, and I think that makes it an incredible model, and for me it's definitely worth it. And that's what I think about this exquisite car. And thank you everybody for your time, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Ciao.